Oh, it's a bigger bag, strap the ego of a little baby. It's like a discipline without the discipline of all of the discipline. It's like a culture without the effort of all of the culture. Oh, without chapter, you're pillaging it out chapter. You're yesterday and out chapter. Another reason out chapter. It's like a movement without the bother of all of the meaning. It's like a discipline without the discipline of all of the discipline. It's like the fat guy in a t-shirt doing all the saying. It's like a couple dads and a few friends trying hard to stay in. With history that I'm tapped. You're passing easy, I'm tapped. You're pillaging and I'm tapped. For best results, well, I'm tapped. Here comes a repo, up in the repo, sitting on the saber. It's in the backpack, it's on his pyramid, running pulled up labor. Laying the black guy in a t-shirt, doing all the saying. Continue drum tag, remember which one did it on the brain. The history that I'm tapped. The fast to see what I'm tapped. The pillaging that I'm tapped. The passes up to I'm tapped. It's all the culture without the effort. I'm all over the nuggets. It's like the discipline. I'm all the discipline. I'm all over the discipline. It's like a movement without the Bible. I'm all over the meaning. It's like a culture without the culture. I'm all over the culture. Without history, I'm tapped. Your passes I'm tapped. Your pillaging, I'm tapped. Your pillaging, I'm tapped.
Well, hello everyone. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. You can call me whatever the shit you want. That was a little bit of old footage from this little guy. The mic is fixed now. All I had to do was unplug and replug the USB hub that the mic is connected to, and all was well. So, you know, if all the problems happen, eventually all the problems will have happened one by one by one by one, and I'll have figured out how to fix them, so I'll just know how to fix everything. But hopefully when I get off of this 11-year-old computer and onto the laptop, this hysterically fast new laptop that I've got, some of these problems will go away, especially because that laptop is new enough to be on Catalina. And this computer is so old that it's on, I don't even know, Snow Leopard. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about FPV. Many of my first-person view friends have come to hang out, and for all of you, you rule. Let's give some shout-outs here. We got Nabi up in here. Oh, Nabi congratulated me on 2,000 subs. I didn't even know. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Let's see here. Looks like you guys knew before me. I'm a bad YouTuber. Come on, come on, come on. Holy crap, 2010. 2010. Damn, thanks guys. You guys rule. Shit, we got some real people. All right, so I guess I got to get some actual edits up there. Real quick, I'll give a shout out to all of the Team Ciotti Patreons that are in here hanging out right now. You guys got to see an edit that's coming soon, which, if this would work, I'll give you a tiny little preview of. So this rough cut is up on the Patreon right now, as well as all kinds of good stuff. Explanations of things that I see when I'm floating around Facebook involving tuning and parts and just all kinds of good stuff. $3, $5, $10, whatever you want. It just gets you access. Feel free to do the bare minimum. That's totally cool. I get it. I do it as well. Here's an example of what you get over there. Just a little rough cut action of some flying that we did yesterday. Just give you a taste. Ooh. Alright, enough of that. Maybe I won't be copyright struck. I probably did, not copyright struck, but whatever, demonetized. So there you go. All the Patreon fellas got to check that out today. Hopefully there's some feedback over there waiting for me. I'll check it out after this. But yeah, hook me up over there if you like what I'm doing, and I promise I'll make it worth your while. Alright, cool. So we got that out of the way. Tonight, what are we going to be doing? We are going to be showing you guys how to choose your bells that are and aren't balanced, and basically just like a kind of making sure that your motors are balanced 101 kind of deal, I guess. We're going to see if we've got time to fix both the Acro Brat and the Glide, which shouldn't be a problem. And then we've got a 1505 and some other motor developments that we did talk about last night on the EU stream, or yesterday on the EU stream, but we'll talk about it again since Sunday at 3 o'clock is kind of an oddball time for us Freedom America people. Alright, cool. So, we are going to go back to the right scene on OBX for a change so that I'm not in the tiny little window for no reason. And we are going to keep the shoutouts going. Nobby, Supercell, Toysuf PV. That's a pretty cool one. Toysuf is in the house saying that I need to export at 4K to get rid of the grainy footage. So OBS is very limited on quality, and just YouTube streaming in general is very limited on quality. So I actually dropped down to like 720, I think, just so that there's no lag, no dropped frames. Everything that I actually upload to YouTube, every actual real live edit is 4K with all of the export settings that work really well on YouTube. So yeah, hit my YouTube, Ciotti FPV, lots of really good stuff from the last couple of years. I don't think the opening video is on there, though. That opening video is on Patreon. That's kind of an unreleased. It's sort of unfinished. I just dropped that track in there. No cuts, no edits. So it's not public, but if you want to check it out some more, because like I said, that was the little CB3, 180 gram or so micro, head on over and yeah, lots of good stuff for you. Bluegrass Connection is here. Whip ass killers. Whip ass killers whip. All right. The Beard and Hammer is here. Kyle K. So What Man is here. Alex Reshka is here. Alex Reshka has a Tiny Hawk S, but really needs a Tiny Whoop. What's the best of the best on the market right now? Think I want to build one not ready to fly. What I can tell you is if you do decide to go the ready to fly route, the newbie drone brushless is the hotness. It's not out yet, but there's a whole bunch of us that have been testing these for months, and this thing is gnarly. When this board comes out, so this B-Brain brushless board in here has a VTX built in, which is really slick, and it's got provisions for an external receiver. So this board is going to be great for builds. And this is the brushless cockroach frame, which is now out. You can get this right now. And yeah, so if you're going to buy Bind and Fly, I think this newbie drone is going to be the one to get. If you're going to do a build, I would actually wait for this newbie drone board because it is just killer. Yeah, this thing is nuts. This is a tasty little 1S whoop, and the board will also take 2S as well. I don't know anything else about the board specs. Good question, Alex. I appreciate that. Jason Peters is here. So what, man? Beard and Hammer, Nobby. So what, man? Again. Sean Hales asking what's going to malfunction. 661 is in the house. RC Crawler King is asking what radio I'm using. $100 QX7 with the Crosswire baud rate mod. It is with M9 gimbals. Yeah, that controller has done me well for 2.5 years. At some point, I'll get a second one just so I have a backup. Since if your transmitter goes, you're screwed. But yeah, best $100 I've spent in FPV, I think. Right. So what, man? Thanks for the shout out on the gaps. Kyle K, Engage FPV, Supercell, Jeffro FPV. Saying hopefully he doesn't talk about that girl's car he drives. Nice, Jeffro. Come out to the mountains. You can get a good look at the rear end of the girl's car. Noah is here. What's up, Noah? Tiago Ramos in the house. License to Drive is here. Alex Reshka again. Beard and Hammer. Steve-O. Nads FPV. Ryan Ferguson. Hey, Ryan. What's up, my man? Doc Murdoch. Love that name. Doc is in the house, indeed. Nads is here. License to Drive. Supercell again. Jason Camp, what's up, my man? We got Troy FPV and Night Train. Getting there. Quadcopter Review is in the house. What's up? Dan Richmond, YouTubing is here. Tiago, anybody else who wants me to read your name, you better hurry because once I hit the bottom, I'm stopping. Chainsaw FPV, Crunked, Nobby, Crunked again, 661, Jeffro. And that's it. If you missed out, I'll get you next time. All right, guys. So I think I hit most of the questions. Tiago had one though. At Ciotti, do you check the? Have you checked the RC and power? The shaft seems to be 3 millimeters. I know they're super notchy, but can 4.1 make them good for freestyle? Tiago, thank you for the segue and the reminder. If so, the regulars, Mr. Sprinkles. It's a good name, so I'm going to read it out. So anybody who's been around for a while knows that a few weeks ago, from the super generous IMAX, I'll read you out too. Thanks to some awesome donations from all you guys that are kind of making this all possible and getting some more stuff here for us to review. I did an Amazon order, and Amazon has a 1505 motor with no specs. It is nowhere else on the internet, and I think 1505 is kind of the perfect size for a 3-inch prop. So I ordered one because I wanted to check out basically whether or not it was super notchy, and the bad news is that it is super notchy, but as Tiago just said, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to get 3 more of these. Hopefully you guys haven't bought the other 7 that were in stock. Hopefully there's still 3 left. I am going to get 3 more of these and give them a shot on the Acro Brat because I am hopeful, as Tiago said, that the RPM filtering might be able to handle the notchiness. Thanks, Super. Appreciate it, brother. And I'm also intrigued by the fact that this is also a 3mm motor shaft. Let me show you guys what the difference is, because it is pretty. I mean, it's a millimeter of difference, but when you see it, you're kind of like, oh, that makes sense. All right, so we'll manually get our autofocus going, and so there you go. So there's the difference of a 3mm shaft versus a 2mm shaft. Pretty big difference there, right? Here's the crazy thing about this 1505. Let me get the focus fixed. It's pretty heavy. It's as heavy as the 1507s, which is kind of nutty. In fairness, this does have a tiny little. It does have tiny little wires on it, but 13.8 with short wires from the T-Motor 1507. Let's grab a Zing with kind of medium length wires. The Zing 1507, which we know is heavier, is 16.1, due in part to the little bit longer wires, but mainly due to the bell. The bell in the Zing 1507 is definitely Oh, I didn't know it, but we're going to check that out in a minute. The bell on the Zing is heavier than the bell on the T-Motor 1507. And then we've got our 1505 which is coming in at 16.2. So it's a fat little shit for a 1505. But quite frankly, these 1507s have more power than I want or need on an acro focused rig. So I before this motor came in and before I realized that this had a 3mm motor shaft, I had kind of said screw it. Both of these 1507s only have 2mm motor shafts, and I've broken 3 of the motor shafts, bent 3 of the motor shafts in crashes that I didn't really think were all that bad. So I'd kind of said, okay, I'm going to build this back into a Cinebrat, put a session mount up on it here, get Stan FPV's guards, and then I can run these 1507s because flying it as a Cinebrat, you're not going to wreck it. But between these 1505s and possibly the Ethics 1507 that Noah just mentioned, which we're going to look at in a second, see if we can find, I think I'll leave this as is right here as an acro rig. I will get 3 more of these 1505s, put them on, see how it is, and if those Ethics 1507s have a 3mm or better yet a 2.5mm shaft, I will give those a shot as well. But for now, we're going to go for the 1505 13 in stock on Amazon. Awesome. Thanks, Kyle, for checking on that. So yeah, you guys can order 10 of those 1505s if you want to join me in this adventure. But please don't order 11, because then we won't be able to have a full set here. Let me see if you guys can maybe even hear the notchiness. I've got Don King, the Zoom mic with Dead Cat on him right here. Let's see if you can hear it. All right, so I can see the volume meter going up and down. So I know that you guys can sort of hear that. So that's what this guy sounds like, the 1505 with the crazy notchiness. Here's a 1507, and the Zing is just like this. Ready? So now that's more the bearing noise because I'm like really spinning it, but when I spin it slow, the volume meter is like barely bouncing. So this is very, very notchy. This is one of the more notchy motors I've actually felt. This reminds me of like a who makes the gray motors that are crazy notchy? It's been making motors forever. Hobby Wing, not Hobby Wing. Why can't I think of it? They make the Avenger. The 1507 Avenger. Whatever. You guys know who I mean. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we'll see if this will be a hell of a test of RPM filtering. Quite frankly, I will be blown away if RPM filtering can deal with this. That'll be very, very impressive. So, yeah, we're actually testing a couple things there. So, there we go. All right. What was the first thing we were going to do? Oh, yeah, motor balancing. Cool. Do we have any more questions, though? I think. Brother Hobby, that's it. Thank you, Jamie. My God. Woo! All right, cool. I think there were some other questions. Yes, there are. 661, very cool. Just put 404 performance hex on F3 on his 2S toothpick, and he's loving it. That is the slimmed down version of Betaflight. I believe it's got RPM filtering, right? I believe that's the deal. There's a new version, a slimmed down version of Betaflight and Joe Lucid's firmware that is running on F3s, which is just super, super, super cool. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Sean Hales says, what are the positives and negatives of disabling your accelerometer? Very, very easy. Very, very simple, I should say. The only negative is that you can no longer run angle or horizon mode. Other than that, that's really all it's doing. It doesn't take much CPU time, So I actually keep it on. I run my radio with, well, since somebody was asking about my radio, I'll grab it real quick. To prove to you guys that I do still use an El Cheapo $100 Tyrannus. So the way I set up my radio is I removed this switch just because I have big long fingers and my knuckle would kind of hit it when I went all the way, I guess this direction, all the way top left on this stick. So I took that switch off, but this switch here is, when it's all the way down towards me, it is Acro with air mode. One notch up in the middle is launch mode when I first arm it, as well as no air mode, so that I can perch on stuff. If I want to perch without bouncing, I can just flip it up into the middle for that. And then all the way up is actually horizon mode. And my thinking there, and this has saved me a bunch of times, is that under normal flight, I'm holding the radio like this. My index finger is on the left stick because I pinch. So actually when I'm flying, it's armed like this. So my middle finger rests on top of the arm so I can instantly disarm. And then if I lose video, or if for whatever reason I need horizon mode, I need the quad to find level by itself, all I have to do is push my index finger straight up. My thumb still stays on this so I can keep flying the rig, but I can just flick straight up and the rig will find level. And then typically I'm adding throttle, because typically when I do this, it's when I lose video. So I can put it into horizon mode, it'll find level, I can add throttle. Sometimes that will put it up above the obstacle that caused the video to go out. If it's a physical malfunction, like the camera fails or the VTX fails or something like that, if I do that and add throttle and the video doesn't come back, I can take the goggles off and see if I can find the damn thing line of sight, and then just decrease the throttle to try to land it wherever it is. Or if it's close enough, I could try flying at line of sight, although I'm the worst with line of sight. As soon as that thing goes nose in, my brain just can't process left being right and right being left. But that is, like I said, this is something that saved me a bunch of times. I wish I'd done this when I was first starting to fly, because I would have those moments where I would get disoriented and like do stupid shit like go full throttle into the ground. This would have been really nice as like a little panic switch when I was kind of starting out. But yeah, nowadays I still use it and it still works really well. And then on this side of the transmitter, for anybody that's wondering, this is not used, this is used, and this is just basically nothing all the way away. In the middle is turtle mode, all the way towards me is beeper. The reason why I don't use this switch is because I run 8 channels for lower latency, and 1 channel, 2 channel, 3 channels, 4 channels, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is the RSSI going back. So there you go. There's your 8 channels. There's how I use my transmitter. Yeah. All right. Good question. Thank you, Sean. Chainsaw got his Tiny Hawk freestyle in today. Time to take it apart and make it better. Chainsaw. Yeah, man. I'm with you. Right there. Take new things apart that work perfectly good and see if you can make them not work. Or work better. All or nothing. Nabi asks, what do you think of the Zing 2206 1850s? So my buddy Brad recently swapped over to Zing 2306. I think they're 1850s, and they're pretty awesome. I got to check him out a few weekends ago when he was down, so I'm assuming that the 2206s will be just as good with just a little bit less torque. 2206 is going to be a great motor for anybody starting out. I would maybe think about going to the 2306 because it's going to, with the wider stator, it's got more torque. It's going to be able to move the prop a little bit faster, which is going to allow it to do things like handle prop wash better, track your throttle set point in the middle of the throttle and the low throttle better. So maybe go to the 2306, but the 2206 is going to be really nice as well, and it's going to save some weight. So if you're looking to save a little bit of weight, 2206 all day, it'll be great. If you want as much power as everybody else, basically, that's flying 2306s, there you go. Can't go wrong with either, though. Those motors seem to be super durable. Right, and what else do we have here? Okay. Should look into the iFlight Success 1.5 for a toothpick build. Comes with an MPU 6000. I will have to take a look at that budget FPV. I don't know much about the iFlight actual electronics other than their motors. Crunked has the RC Power 2207 and a halfs, 1860s, and they're sick. I have also heard that about the RC Power motors. Bob's got a couple really good. Bob being Kebab has a couple really good reviews, and yeah, check them out. Right. Whoa! YouTube is asking weight of the new AIO VTX F4 black box. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's pretty cool for an AIO to have black box. I am interested in that. Quadcopter Review says that looks straight up like a Hobby Cool motor, the 1505. Yeah, it is. It's I forgot to read the name off of it. It is whatever you just said. Hobby Mate? Is that what you said? Hobby Mate? Hobby Cool. Quadcopter Review said Hobby Cool. This says Hobby Mate. I bet you they're the same company. I bet you neither one of them is a company, and they're just the name that some other company put on them to sell in different locations. Very cool. All right, Noah called out the Ethics 1507s. Let's see if we can find them. All right, I'm going to do that over here on the second monitor, see if I can find it before I switch you over. Hey, Noah, where'd you see that? Because Google probably hasn't indexed it yet. I have a feeling you maybe saw it on Instagram. Let's see here. I'll bring you guys over. We'll look for it together. Let's go to Instagram ethics. Let me scroll down to the bottom of the chat so that if Noah posts a link, I will actually see it. Well, let's just get to Instagram, and then we'll go here. I forgot to put the LTD. Ethics LTD. Oh, it's on TBS's website. Oh, there it is. It's a little mouse. That looks an awful lot like the T-motor. 1507 stator, 3-inch prop, HD camera, designed for 6S. Interesting. So now, I guess it could be the T-motor. See, there is a big gap here, though. That does not look like the T-motor at all. That is a great big gap. That does not look like the T-motor or the Zing. So, yeah, it's probably being made, well, God only knows. I can tell you one thing, though. That is a 2mm motor shaft down there, so I will not be buying those. Sorry, Steel. Sorry, Ethics. But, yeah, I've these T-motors and these Zings are totally fine. I can't imagine that these Ethics motors will be any more smooth or better. Or maybe if they are more, if they are smoother, I'm just not getting them. I have two sets of fragile but smooth 1507s. There you go. I am interested in hearing how these are, though. Hopefully somebody, not me, gets them and guinea pigs them against some of these other ones. Blah, 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 blah. $18 a motor, that's not bad. Yeah, for sure that's a 2mm motor shaft. Absolutely guaranteed. Yeah. So that's a shame, but that's also not surprising at all. I'm sure it's an awesome motor. Ethics makes fantastic stuff. That's pretty cool. 2800 kV. Wow, so they really are for 6S. Jesus. Okay, so there's another reason I'm not going down that road, because I'm not going 6S on on a micro. Interesting, very cool. good job, TBS. Thanks for supporting the micro community. That's pretty cool. I'm sure that'll be a super popular motor for Cinewhoops. All right, let's come back over here, and I think we're about to get started on the motor testing here. Let's just real quick blast through these comments here. All right, I'm going to the bottom of the comments. If I missed your question, ask it again. Tag me at CiottiFPV, and yeah, I will answer it for sure. Dan Richmond has an F4 Crazy Bee modular frame with trash can motors and JESC Betaflight 411 4.1 RPM filtering. It kills the batteries for 45 seconds faster than that before. Is that bad filtering settings? It's bad something. 45 seconds is a lot. I mean, you are making the processor work harder, but that definitely shouldn't gobble up that much. Yeah, my guess would be that you've got. So do this: fly it for 30 seconds, bring it down, touch the motors, see if they're hot. If it's a filtering issue, basically, if you don't have enough filtering, the motors can, instead of smoothly spinning around and around and around and around, they can kind of second guess themselves and bounce back and forth the whole time. So they're doing twice as much work, and they're speeding up and slowing down the whole rotating assembly. That can also be caused by too much P or too much D gain. So, but if that's happening, usually the motors will get hot. So fly it, see if the motors are hot. If the motors aren't hot, your next bet is going to be to just do it all at once. Add filtering, take 10 points of P and 10 points of D out. It might fly like hell, but at least see if those 45 seconds come back, and you can take it from there. Dan, if you want more info on that sort of troubleshooting path, my Patreon has a couple really good articles about how to tune out motor heat, and it's the same sort of workflow of try this first, try this second, try this third, try this fourth. Especially with micros, there's a very specific order of operations that you want to work on, because if you go out of order, you can basically get to a place where you've done all the changes and you still haven't found it because you've been checking the things in the wrong order. It's taken me years to kind of figure that workflow out. So yeah, if you want more info on that, hit my Patreon. If you still have questions, message me on Patreon and we'll get you hooked up, and we'll find those 45 seconds. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Supercell just, I assume, correctly points out you can't do launch control if you disable the accelerometer. That makes total sense, because when you're doing the launch control, it's telling you the degrees of tilt that you're at. So that's interesting. Yeah, I've always had my accelerometer on, so I never even noticed it. All right. Who else has got a question real quick here? Oh, yeah, Kyle K. It is so easy. There's no reason for me not to take 10 minutes and learn to fly nose in. And I have LEDs on the rear arms of the quad, so I could totally do it. But like I said, my brain just goes poo-poo when I actually need to do it. Newbie Drone AIO does not have black box, to my knowledge. My prototype one certainly does. God, maybe the production one will. That'd be amazing. Doc Murdoch asks, will you be building a 7-inch long-range rig anytime soon? No, because I am in the 5-inch long-range camp, along with Gab 707 and a bunch of other long-range guys who do incredible work. This is my long-range rig. This is a Wild Willie Dolphin frame, which the reason I chose this for 5-inch long range is this is also my cinema rig. Big old 2407 motors to turn big pitchy 5-inch props. But really the reason I chose this frame is that Willard put in, and I don't have I just knocked the mic over. Willard put a adjustable GoPro panel. I don't know what the hell it's called. You can adjust your GoPro from like 10 degrees up to 40 degrees on this guy. And that is super handy for a cinema rig, because if you want to do really slow stuff, you can take everything down. We were just recently doing that a couple weekends ago, shooting stunt bike riders doing endos and wheelies and all that fun shit. It also has a little bit of extra room here, a little bit of extra clearance for maybe even a 5.5-inch prop. So that's another really slick thing about this frame. And then the other thing I like is that it's got the base plate on the bottom, and then the arms sit above that, which raise the prop line ever so slightly here to get it level with the top plate, even a little bit higher than the top plate. It also does do toilet tank, but I'm not sure. Some people say they really like it. I don't know. I haven't formed an opinion yet. But for me, 5-inch is going to be what I do for long range, mainly because all the R&D that we've done has been around 5-inch. So we know which size motors are correct for that prop weight, that prop drag, and the software works better on 5-inch rigs. Again, just because that's where all the R&D has been done over the past 3-4 years. And obviously not all of the R&D, but the majority of it has been done on 5-inch rigs. Brad, my FPV and just in life best friend in the world, went down the 6-inch and 7-inch path for long-range rigs. He spent a ton of time. Him and I have kind of brainstormed it. He's been basically the guinea pig on that. I've guinea pigged some of the other 5-inch stuff. And he's one of the smartest people I know. He's been in this hobby for as long as I have. We've both like hive-minded that shit, and it's just we just don't have software and or the software and the R&D is just not there quite yet. We don't quite know what the right motor voltage prop is for 6-inch and 7-inch. So basically what happens is the motors just are not perfectly tuned to the props yet, and the software is not perfectly tuned yet. So on a windy day, 6 and 7-inch rigs just bobble all over the damn place, which is exactly what you don't want with a long-range rig or a cinema type rig. So yeah, that 5-inch rig goes real goddamn fast, is plenty efficient, and there's a ton of 5-inch high-pitch prop options. So yeah, that's my long-range rig right there, and I'm going to stick with 5-inch. Maybe I'll play around a little bit with 5.5-inch, but I'll probably just stick with 5 because it's plenty. All right, let's start working on quads. What do you guys say? I'm going to move this camera. Bear with me. Actually, all right, here. I'll do this, and then I'll move the camera. I'll give you guys a little more of this juicy shit. charged. You gotta be shitting me. Looking for a 4S battery. Can you bring me some water, honey? Just the goddamn jug. Actually, no, can you bring me a glass of water from the thing of it? Thank you, baby. All right. So, yeah, there's that. Man, it's starting to get hot as shit in here. Hang on, guys. Well, I got a battery on the charger. I don't have any charged 4S batteries, which is just infuriating, but how's this look? Is that looking all right? Yeah, that's going to work. Let's pull this over here a little bit. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm super behind on chat, guys. I'm just gonna leave it be. I'm gonna start working on this stuff. Tag me to put my name in orange, or do a super chat if you want to grab my attention. If you guys don't mind, because we're gonna jump into how to basically see if your motors are, if your motor bells and your bearings are in good shape. So I try to do this, well, I do it more often than probably anyone in the universe because I bang up a lot of stuff in crashes. I basically do this every time I take a slam, and when I come back home to get it fixed, one of the last things I do is spin everybody up, make sure they're all happy, and that's what I'm going to show you guys here. So this motor bell took a bit of a dig. Let's just turn all the lights on in this room. That's gonna help. Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. So this little fella took quite the little slam up on the top of the bell here. But, so you can see where it bent it in a little bit. It didn't bend it in quite enough to full-blown ruin it, but almost. And rather than just throwing it on there and hoping that it's good, we're going to test it. And Sean, that was basically a 6S version of this. That's one of my main rigs, which is a glide on T-motor F40 Pro 2, which is a 2306 motor, 1600 kV on 6S with T-Motor 5143 props. 99% of the footage you see from me is on a rig of that description. So let's get Betaflight up here because that's where we're going to be doing most of our work. And where are you? There you are. All right, good deal. So get hooked on up to Betaflight, and you're going to come in here to the Motors tab, and this is where we're going to be working. Let's get some of this other junk out of here. All right, so I understand the risks. I have taken my props off. Do not do this with props on anything bigger than a tiny whoop. Tiny whoop, you can absolutely do this with the props on, which is kind of slick. But once you get to like 2-inch props, 2S, 3S, you can kind of gash your fingers all up, which is no fun. So we're hooked up to Betaflight. I'll bet you I have enough charge in this battery. Let's see. Oh yeah, we'll be all right. Whoop, stop, come on. There we go. Yeah, we'll be all right. 4 volts per cell, that'll be totally fine. Got to do this with the battery hooked up. That's the only way the motors are going to spin. So, the one that I'm testing, I always leave it here with just the stator. Because what I'm going to be doing is like hot swapping bells onto that. But first what I want to do is check the other 3. So motor 1 is back right. We're going to spin that guy up first and we're just going to listen to it. Or not. That's weird. Motor 1 has 100% error. That's not great. Let's try this. And it is moving on those startup tones. It might have just been upset. Interesting. Yeah, it was just being cranky. So first thing we're going to do is slowly raise this level up to get an idea of the amount of noise that this motor's making. And so I can already tell you that's kind of bad. That's making an awful lot of noise. Where you really want to check it is in the 1300 range, and that's where I just was. The 1300 range tends to be where all these motors and frames and whatnot have a good deal of vibrations. So basically that's really what I do is I bring them up to 1300 and then see how loud it is. If it's really loud, I will put a hand on the frame so I can feel how much it's vibing, and then you can compare it to the next one. So let's just bang through all 4 of them. I'm going to put my left hand on the quad just so that I can feel what it's doing. Another thing you can do is put like a little towel underneath so that just to kind of isolate it from the desk, but I've done this enough times where I can just kind of do it by hand here. So hand on the quad to feel the vibrations. We're going to go motor 1. Motor 2. So you guys can probably already hear the difference. Motor 2 is a lot cleaner. Let's try motor 3. Motor 3 is a lot cleaner. So that's the full sweep, but like I said, 1300 is really what I'm worried about because that's where a lot of those mid-throttle vibes come from, so let's try that. Oh, that's a bad vibe. That's actually resonating through the desk. That's interesting. All right. All right. So now I sort of have like a baseline. This one back here is obviously the worst. But it's actually not that bad yet. I'm willing to bet that the RPM filtering can easily handle this guy back here. Now that we have our baseline and we kind of know what the average amount of vibes and noise is, we're going to try 2 different bells that are used. And you know what? I'm going to grab a few more bells so that you guys can hear so I can give you guys kind of like a range of of noises and whatnot. So these are the two good ones. Well, good-ish. We're going to drop it on, and we can just spin it up right away. All right, let's unplug and replug. Because I have my ESCs set to start beeping after 2 minutes. And that's what was starting to happen there. So here we go. All right. And so let's compare it to motor 1. We'll spin up motor 1, and then we'll spin up motor 4 here in the corner. So that's 1. That's 4. And that's way worse. All right. So this bell is definitely bad. And this is actually not the bell that had that big dig in it. So this is the one that had that big dig in it. Let's try this one. I put the motor screw in it so I didn't lose it. Come on. Come on. Oh, God damn it. Hold up. Oh, jeez. This motor screw is all Loctited up. There we go. Okay. So now, whoop, man down. Throw that one on there. Again, we'll compare it to number 1. So it's no worse than number 1. I think you guys can hear that. All right, 1300s. And quite frankly, it's not that much worse than 3 is pretty good. Motor 3 is pretty damn balanced, but motor 2 is pretty shit. But yeah, that's actually fine. Like I said, as long as all 4 of them are around the same amount of noise and vibes, you should be okay until the point where they're all banged to shit. Right now I have one back here that is fairly clean, just sort of as like a control. And yeah, like I said, the rest of these are close enough to the good one that I know I won't have a problem. If all 4 of them sounded like numbers 1 and 4, that would be a problem. There is a point where all the motor bells can be so banged up that the whole thing just kind of wants to explode. Oh, and I just remembered I wanted to throw a couple different bells on here. All right, so that's this is the one that we're going to go with here. So we'll just take it off for a second, and I'll put it over here. I got a bunch more banged up bells here that I can throw on for you guys. Some of these might not even... Okay. Well, the very first one I tried, and it's so banged up that it won't even drop down in the stator. Oh yeah, that one's ruined. Let's see if any of these will even... Let's see if any of these have magnets that aren't going to touch the stator poles. Well, that one's rubbing, so that's obviously out. What do we got here? Another red one. Let's see. Come on, get down there. Nope. Magnets are touching the stator. Oh, God, come on. Get off of there. Oh, you jerk. Well, I thought I had another 1 or 2 that would at least spin. Nope, that one's hitting the stator. Not as bad, but it's still hitting it. And... hey, there we go. Well, that's the one I just tested. Okay, so we tested 2 of them. This one was horrendous. You guys heard it. That one goes in the junk bin. This one was roughly what the other guys were, so we're going to drop that on there. Unplug the battery, put the screw back in the bottom, and you know what? Let's go through the Betaflight settings real quick, just so that you guys can, in case there's anybody new here that's curious as to how I tune, I can give you sort of a window into it, because the way that I tune has changed because of the sliders in kind of an interesting way. So hang on one second. Let me just drop this on here. Okay, so here's what I do as well. I put this the motor screws in all the way so that they snug tight, and then I'll back it off like a 1/4 of a turn or so. Props off. I grab the motor bell, spin it. Basically, if it continues to spin after my finger leaves it, that's usually where I want it to be in terms of where this screw is. Another easy thing is just to compare it to the guy right next to it. Give it a little spin, see how long it sort of continues to rotate from your fingers, and just make sure that you're, the one that you just replaced the screw on. I'm actually going to back this out a little bit more because I would rather have them be a little bit too loose than a little bit too tight, and now that's perfect. Make sure when you're backing these things out, you do want to make sure that it's not too loose. If you back it out and you really feel your driver go very light and very loose, there's a chance that'll back out in flight. So if it does that, get a little bit of Loctite on the end of that motor screw and put it back in there, because you want to make sure that they don't loosen themselves up. So there we go. That motor is back on. Let's take a look at some Betaflight settings here. Okay, cool. So this guy is on RPM filtering, F4. Yeah, F4 RPM filtering, D-Shot 600, 4K. And over here in the PID tuning tab, basically I tune the filters first. The first thing that I do, and I have another little article on the Patreon page, link in the description below. Down there. I have a little article in there where I broke down Mark Spatz's 15 or 20 minute video talking about the best kind of workflow of which filtering to reduce first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and it does make a big difference. So the first thing I believe was to move this dynamic notch width % down to 0, then we move the dynamic notch Q up to 250, then we move the dynamic notch filter range to low, and then we start dropping these two guys down, gyro first, D-term second. If you want to drop these even further down, you can turn on expert mode, but this quad is kind of noisy, as we heard that motor 1, motor 4 are making some noise, so I'm actually going to leave this guy right here at 1.5. But if this was a little bit cleaner of a rig, like my 6S rigs, I would actually drop these all the way down. It's basically, the sliders work on multipliers. So here's the multiplier. The maximum with non-expert mode is 1.5. Turn on expert mode and it'll let you push it all the way to 2 as your multiplier. And technically speaking, you can just keep going farther and farther and farther with it by manually changing these numbers. But once you get both of these guys to 2.0 as the multiplier, Mark says that you've really done the majority of the... you're sort of getting to a point where you're going to get diminishing returns. All right. Okay, we're good. Everything's fine. So there's a quick and dirty filter tune that I did on this guy, and then I move over here to the pit profile settings, and I run very low feed forward, so I have to enable the sliders, set my tune, and then when I change the feed forward down really low, it disables the sliders. So what I'm going to start doing actually is using the profile 2 for basically I want to use the sliders and drop the stick response down as low as it'll let me within expert mode, and at least give it a try. I do want to try flying higher feed forward. Up until this point, I've hated it. I've tried it a million times. And it's very, very twitchy when I run it. Yes, sure, I'm certain that it tracks set point better, but in terms of like flying in a way that's not, that looks good, and is nice and smooth and looks the way that I want it to, I really like a lower feed forward number. But like I said, profile 2 is going to sort of be like a little experimental profile. So let me also... so we're like 70, 80, 43. So on the sliders here, basically the master multiplier, I leave it pretty much dead center. If anything, I drop it down by 1 just to get the eyes down a little bit. These eyes in the 85s and the 90s, I think they're a little bit too high for me. They introduce like a little bit of a pause or a notch when you find center. So I've been just kind of dropping this down to 0.9 lately just to get those eyes down a little bit, and then I make up the difference here in the P and D gain slider. So I've begun to really push this up pretty good. We saw in my profile 1, my roll P was up in the 80s. So to do that, you got to really push this thing quite a bit. And that's fine, mainly because your D-min is still down nice and low. So the Ds that you're going to be flying at most of the time are 36 and 40, and that's totally reasonable. And then when it needs more D gain because it's starting to prop wash or any number of different things, it's going to boost the Ds up into the 60s here, which again is completely fine. It's only going to bring it up there for, half a second, quarter of a second, maybe a full second. And yeah, that's just kind of the feel that I dig. So typically this is what I'll do, and then I'll just dump these feed forwards down to 5 or 10 or 20 where I like them. But like I said, profile 2 is going to start to be like an experimental profile, and I'm going to leave it here. A couple of the other things I do is turn on VBAT PID compensation. It boosts the PIDs up a little bit as your VBAT and as your battery starts to sag. And then anti-gravity I leave alone. The gain and advance I typically try to leave alone until unless I'm really having issues with prop wash or that wiggle that you get when you stab the throttle. I-term relax. It's very important to change your cutoff to 10. I also changed the type to set point instead of... No. You're supposed to have the type on gyro, not set point. That's interesting. Have I had that wrong all along? Well, that's why this thing was bouncing back. Okay. So yeah, I-term relax for freestyle works better on gyro. And the cutoff, you want it down to like 10 or 11. You don't want it at 20. So there you go. I'm back on profile 1, which is where I want it. And that's pretty much it. That's a quick and dirty PID tune. I get it to that point in the sliders, and then I use the OSD in the field to kind of tune it in a little bit more than that. Yeah, there you go. There's my glide rig. Like I said, F40 Pro 2 motors, which are 2306s, nice and light. This is the glide frame. This is Kebab's, basically Gen 3 5-inch frame. I've begun to use these big old washers here on these main arm screws because they did it on the Apex, and Impulse RC has always done that. So maybe there's something to it. I'm not going to run them on these inner ones here. I think these outer ones here are really the best bet. I've got a little tiny LEDs on the bottom here, just wired up to the battery pads. I like having an LED on the bottom because when you're flying away from someone that's trying to chase you, it gives them something they can see. But also, I crashed one of these in a little pond at one point, and it was kind of getting dark, and the only way that I could see the quad was by this LED. So I literally would not have been able to see the damn thing in the little pond if it weren't for that LED. The LEDs on the top of the arms are just more for fun, slash, it's a race wire. I love the race wires, and having the LEDs on is just kind of fun. I've yet to have the LEDs screw anything up. They've been totally foolproof top to bottom. This particular rig has the Pyro drone, flight controller, and ESC in it. The ESC is slowly dying. It is just exhibiting strange failing ESC things, and I do actually need to get another Micro Eagle to put in this guy. I blew up a Micro Eagle on this and just swapped a little run cam racer in. But yeah, got to get another Eagle in here, and this guy will be back up and running. So that's what you're looking at. This is basically what was in that night video. This is my main kind of rig with a 160-ish gram battery. This thing is right under 600 grams. The 6S version of this runs 175 gram battery, so it's at about 608 or 610 or so. Very light freestyle rigs, which is what I prefer. So there you go. We fixed a 5-inch quad. AcroBrat is kind of in the same scenario. The motor bell is bent, so you guys are going to get to see, although now it seems fine. What? Oh, that's because it's not the one. Or is it? I thought it was. Hold up. Do Zing motors heal themselves? Hold up. Oh, no, it is this one. Yeah, this one is bent. Oh, right. This is the one that I tried to bend back. Yes, every once in a while you can bend a motor bell back. Well, you know what? This will actually be a really good... oh, this is going to be good. We're gonna spin this up on the thing, in the place. Alright, cool. Let's pull these props off real quick. And we'll spin this guy up, because I'm actually curious as to how the other three held up in the 2 batteries that I got on them before I blew this one up. Yeah, I broke this last weekend, I guess, at a really cool spot here in Atlanta, Fiserv, that we were able to spend like 2 hours before we got kicked out. And yeah, we had a good time. Me and Schizo and Sean came out, and who else was there? Oh, I forget. But it was a good day of flying. Broke some motors. Got some good footage, which is... I got some really good footage on this guy, which I haven't even pulled off of the memory card yet. All right, here we go. So let's get this thing spun up, and we'll see how... This one's going to be brutal. I can pretty much guarantee you guys that. But I'm more curious about the other 3 and how noisy they are. So let's get plugged in here. All right, and let me grab a micro battery. All right, let's jump back into... Does Betaflight not even realize that it's been disconnected? Oh no, I turned on auto connect. Look at me go. Okay. Get this fella plugged on in. For anyone curious, that is the startup tone for the Joe Lucid BL Heli S firmware. All right, let's get on in here to motors test. Oh, nope, not modes, motors. And I understand the risks, and let's see. Wow, it's pretty bad. Oh, wow, that one's kind of a mess, too. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's real bad. That's so bad it's getting errors. Jeez. Maybe not. Oh, that's nasty. I'm not even going to spin that anymore. It's going to catch on fire. Oh, wow, that one's a mess, too. Whoa. Ooh, that's real nasty. Jeez. Okay, so... There's 2 of them that are wrecked. These other 2 aren't that great either, though. Damn. Okay. So, yeah. 2 millimeter motor shafts are not strong enough for a really acro heavy rig. I don't have 2 Zing motor bells that aren't bent. So, I mean, we can just fix one. My God, this front one really sounded bad. Oh yeah, I can see it. Good God. If you can't see it wobbling, it's usually not that bad, but I can see this one wobbling as I spin it by hand. That's real nasty. Damn. Okay. Well, AcroBrat is put on hold. That's okay. Yeah, jeez. Okay. On the wall it goes. So I guess I'll just desolder those and get the 1505 ordered, and we'll just put it directly onto the 1505s instead of screwing around with these 1507s anymore. Okay, What else did we have in the cards here for tonight? Let's take a look. I don't know why I keep forgetting, but I'll bring you guys back here. Hold up. Balancing motors, AcroBrat and Glad Repair, Stingy Stingy V2, right? Okay. Yeah. Stingy V2. Well, you know what? No, let me leave it like this. I'm gonna leave it here because the light is actually not that bad here, and I think I can show you some really cool details on the Stingy frame. So let me bring the focus in a little bit here, and I'm gonna go to full screen. All right. So this, my friends, is a Stingy V2 frame, and man, is it pretty. Let me Supercell, hell yeah, man. That order's going in tonight. Believe me. I don't want it against white. I want it against green. That'll allow the camera to focus a little bit better. So let's get this little Gorilla Pod fixed up here. Okay. That should be a little bit better. And then I can point you guys down a little bit, and I can fix the focus, and we will be in business. All right, close enough. Let me bring the mic a little bit closer to me as well. And all right, Stingy V2. Really solid frame. Holy crap. The weight on this frame, which I was unable to find, which was kind of one of the reasons I got it, because I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be 140, 150 grams, and I was right. It's 130.8. 130.8 grams, which is not fat. It's not slim either, though. The Kebab's glide frames are about 100 grams. I think they're like 102 grams. So definitely a heavier frame. But what you get for the extra weight is crazy durability. Look how thick these arms are in comparison. And they're both 5mm arms. Here's a glide arm for comparison. I mean, it's got to be twice as thick. It's got to be. Yeah, that's easily twice as thick on the Stingy V2 arm. So essentially, for the weight that I build quads and how I crash, I'm assuming that these arms are going to be fully indestructible. And some of the other things that I kind of like about it are that this is going to be my second and maybe last attempt at vertical carbon camera plates. I typically just use the little TPU loops off of the front standoffs, but I have been breaking an awful lot of Micro Eagles, and I'm curious if a beefy frame. So I tried the vertical carbon camera plates on the Alien, on the slammed Alien that I built, which is now in Shane's hands, who is enjoying it. But that is not a stout top and bottom plate. That's like that frame has like a 1.5mm bottom plate, and I think a 1.5mm top plate too. So it would flex really hard on big, huge slams, and it would break the case of the Micro Eagle. So I'm curious on this guy if the thicker base plate and the thicker top plate, and it's also got a cool little 3D printed, I don't know what the hell it is. It's like a little shuttle in there that the camera sits in, so that the camera will hold its angle. So I'm curious about that. It's also kind of cool that they put grommets in the frame. If you do 20x20 mounting, they have little rubber grommets here in the frame, so the entire stack can be soft mounted. That's kind of slick. And yeah, just a really pretty frame. Just Kevin did a hell of a job on this frame. It's really well made. X-Hover does an incredible job with their manufacturing. So yeah, I'm very interested to give a more premium frame a shot. And I'm also curious as to what an extra 30 or so grams will feel like with these motors. I kind of know what it feels like from the Glide that has the Hero 7 because that's basically 30 grams heavier. But this will definitely be different because that's 30 extra grams right here on the nose. This is essentially probably like 20 extra grams on the arms and then a little bit of extra weight here. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what a frame with, like what it is like to live with a frame that has horrendously durable arms. I kind of have a hunch that I'm going to break more motors because the arm is not going to be the weak point anymore. On the Glide frame, I truly believe that the thinner arms basically will protect the motors in that to a certain extent the arm is going to break and suck up some of the energy rather than all that energy going into the motor and bending the bell. And I would way rather blow up an arm than a motor. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to kind of fly this hard as an experiment. But if I'm honest, I think it's just going to confirm the fact that I like the Glide frame. But that's fine. I mean, that's actually kind of an important thing to do every so often. And for anybody wondering, these standoffs here are from Ready Made RC. And they're really nice. They're like a hex standoff that seems to be a little bit thicker than the knurled aluminum ones. So I'm interested to see if these guys are any stronger. So yeah, there you go. Stingy V2, very, very sturdy frame. What I can say is, for a fact, and this is probably no surprise, is that when I take this thing and I put my thumbs in the middle and my fingers out on the motors and just bend it, so I'm basically taking it on its longest axis and trying to bend it, it has almost no flex. I'm really impressed by the amount of rigidity this thing has on the long axis. So that's a good thing for the gyros and the PID loop because that's going to bring less vibes into the system. So yeah, I think that's all the show and tell I've got for you guys. We can maybe look at some AcroBrat footage if we want. Let me get this. Oh wait, let me not make you guys throw up here. Okay, now I can move this around without inducing nausea. Let's get this put back where it belongs here, and see if we can get it. Just get in your home. Ain't you good for your home? Answer me. All right, there we go. That's better. We'll move this mic back while we're at it. Cool. Okay, let's dig into some chat, and maybe we can look at some footage after that. Because I'm actually curious to see what the footage looks like from those Zing motors. I'm sure it looks awesome, but I just haven't looked at it yet. So, looks good from New Mexico, Doc Murdoch says. Doc Murdoch, you're in New Mexico? That's super cool. You got to fly the... Dude, you got to fly the Breaking Bad spots. There was a... so, as most of you know, prior to FPV, motorsports and just automotive in general was my main hobby for the previous, 20 or so years, ever since high school. And one of the Miata guys that I'm friends with, who lives in New Mexico, did a series. He's also a photographer. He did a series of images inspired by Breaking Bad, where he took his car and basically parked it in front of all the Breaking Bad spots, and it was really cool. So you can one-up that dude and fly the Breaking Bad spots. That would be super sick. Edit them all down into one 5-6 minute edit. That'd be dope, man. All right. So Engage says Apex for sure. I will admit that the Apex frame is... I've not been as impressed by a frame in a long time, maybe ever. if that frame was available, I probably wouldn't have gotten that Stingy V2 frame, if I'm totally honest. As awesome of a dude as Kevin is, and as great of a frame as that is, the Apex frame is next level. The Steel's been working on that frame for a long time, so they've got arguably the best pilot in the world, the freestyle pilot in the world, doing the R&D for it. And then Impulse just in general makes the best quality frames that I've seen. X-Hover frames are phenomenal, but I think Impulse maybe has the edge on frame manufacturing. So yeah, when the Apex comes out, I will definitely look at it hard. But I'm very happy with the Glide frames. This is going to be a cool experiment, and yeah, we'll see what goes down. My buddy Brad, again up in New Jersey, he actually just switched from the Glides over to the Apexes. And when he had the Apex frame down here a couple weekends ago, I was just blown away. The weight, the stiffness, the thought that went into some of the aspects of it, the engineering, mind blown. It's a shame they don't have a zillion of them for us all to buy them, but that's fine because it's an expensive frame. So yeah, we'll see. But that frame is awesome. If any of you guys are looking for a 5-inch frame, just go that route, in my opinion. All right. Cyber J says, you guys back to using GoPros, especially for night? Kind of a swing back to bigger frames and GoPros for HD. Versus what, Cyber J? Versus micros? Is that what you're saying? I fly both. My micro situation right now is all over the place. My CB is waiting for a new flight controller. The Acro Brat's on the banged up motors. So I actually only have 5-inch rigs put together right now. But yeah, just to clarify, Cyber J, I think you're talking about micros versus 5-inch rigs with GoPros. But if you're not, let me know what you meant by that. All right. Nabi with an excellent point. When you're in the motors tab, if you hover the mouse pointer over the little slider, you can use the up and down arrows to go up and down by 1% at a time. If for some reason there's like some very specific RPM that you're getting a vibration, you're trying to work with that and figure out where it's vibrating, you can use the up and down arrows to get the exact percentage in there and then sit there and futz around with it. Okay. Kyle K says, is he trying different bells to find a nice one? I think that's when I was dropping all the motor bells on. Yes, that's what I was doing. Sterling Youngman says, imagine if you were interested in learning about drones, thinking you might want to try the hobby, and you stumble onto this. This as in this podcast? Well, podcast, what am I saying? Live stream, rather? Although I do need to rip the audio out of these and make a podcast out of it. That's why I'm thinking the word podcast. This is going to be a rough place for you to start, Sterling. I tend to talk about like the super detailed stuff with this hobby, but the people in this chat are very, very knowledgeable. So I might not be your best resource, but the other folks are going to be an excellent resource for you to actually get real knowledge. One of the problems with this and every other hobby is just rampant shit knowledge and shit info out on the internet. So you really got to be careful for that. One of the things that I've loved about all the guys that have joined the Patreon is that they're all really smart, intelligent people that are looking to learn. And that's me for sure. I mean, all I care about is just learning more and more and more and figuring out the right combinations for something that's going to fly in a way that kind of connects best with my brain. Because if what my brain thinks the quad should do is what the quad actually does, I'm going to be able to fly real good that way. When I'm flying and I forget about, I wonder how the motors are, or I wonder how 6S is. When I am just flying and everything else shuts off and I'm not thinking about the transmitter or the quad or the video noise or any of that other stuff, that's when crazy stuff happens. So that's really what everything that I'm doing is trying to get to, the point where I have rigs built that perform as good as possible. And yeah, that's it. I don't have a great ending to that rant, but you guys know what I'm saying. Your local hobby shop being Pyrodrone is pretty goddamn cool, though. Surge is an awesome dude. Pyrodrone is actually my favorite shop to order from at the moment. And yeah, Bob Rugi is in there every so often, so look out for Kebab. If you haven't found his channel yet, jump on over there. He's going to be a great resource for you. KABOB FPV. And also Nick Burns is going to be another really good resource for you. Those guys do a lot of product reviews, so they get a good amount of ready to flies and components sent to them for review for free. So they've got a lot of content on their channel. You can really dive in and figure out what all these numbers and what a KV is and what the motor sizing means and all that good stuff. So there you go. What else do we have here? Oh, Nabi left. Nabi, if you're still here, peace. Sterling told him he might move his bed there. Nice. Kyle K says those motors sound like they did different tones. Yeah, when they start vibrating at different frequencies, they will make a different tone for sure. Sean Hales reminded me to change the view. Hopefully I didn't have it on the wrong view for too long. Big FPV says, hey guys, if you want a Stingy V2 regular carbon, they have them on Ready Made RC for $50. That I totally spaced on that. That's where I got that, and that was one of the reasons I got that frame, is because they're $50 in Ready Made RC. So if you're looking for a very durable, very good 5-inch frame, your boy Stinger Swarm's got you hooked up. Head on over to Ready Made RC and you can pick up a... be careful, because they have the V1 and the V2, and you definitely want the V2. Yeah, just... you've been warned. The V1 is still a good frame, but the V2 is better in every way. Alright. Drew's frame for 44. No shite. Damn. Good call, Big FPV. I didn't realize his frame was on there for $44. I'm willing to bet though that that's the non-upgraded version of his frame. So he's got a little upgrade plate for his frame that makes the front end a lot stronger. So if you do that, do like a Rotoride order back to back to get that little plate. It's like $7 or something. Oh, nice. Supercell finished this Brat. Awesome. Fly it inside and wreck your house. Don't do it. Don't do it. Doc Murdoch crashed his Stingy V2 trying to do an inverted yaw spin of death. Delaminated the two front arms and broke the bottom plate in front of the arms, cracked the top plate right behind the GoPro mount. Holy hell, Doc. That must have been a big slam. I've done that before, actually. I've had that same just total front end explosion on a glide. And I've actually kind of done it 1.5 times. The other time that I did it, I didn't break the front two arms, but I did break the top plate, bottom plate, and just like everything. So you're in good company, man. That's a good slam. That's a hell of a hit to do all that damage. Good work. You were going for it on that one. Respect. Okay. Wow. GoPro and battery and all the electronics survived the impact from 100 feet. Pretty good, man. That's when it happened to me, the GoPro didn't survive. So consider yourself lucky. Cyber J says micros and Swifts. I think that was in a conversation. Jamie Armstrong has the Apex HD and it's great with the DJI system. Can't beat that setup. Definitely recommend buying it. Yeah, the DJI system is really, really interesting. Really compelling setup for someone that's new, and I would love to fly it, but at the same time I don't want to fly it because I'm afraid I'm gonna like it. So I'm actually not gonna fly the DJI system for a while until maybe like the price comes down or something happens where it's like gotta have it. But right now it doesn't seem like it's a gotta have it kind of thing quite yet. If it if it comes to a point where it's like, yes, you will fly better with this. If enough of the pro pilots are going to say, yes, this makes me fly better, then I'll start thinking about it. But until then, I'm kind of like, I'll wait a little bit. I'm happy with my setup. HD3s with the rapid fire is damn good, and yeah. What else do we have here? All right, Sterling is not that new. He was laughing at the idea of a noob stumbling into your overview for a PIDs. Okay, yeah, Sterling for sure. Yeah, any new folks, what I showed you in the PIDs, that's pretty high level. If you want to kind of break it down and do something more simple, I should probably write something. Give me a little bit of time and then jump on my Patreon and I'll write something that's like, because I should do like a 101, and then what I have up there is basically like a 102 or a 103. So yeah, that's actually a good. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sterling, because I do need to have something that's a little bit slimmed down. So I'll get on that. Quadcarp Review says his local shop is Get FPV, so he gets having a cool local shop. Well, screw you guys. I don't have a cool local. I guess I do. Atlanta Hobby, but I don't think they have much FPV stuff anymore. And Grayson too, but they're 2 hours out. I can't complain though because I live right next to Atlanta, so I'll stop bitching about not having a really good local spot like you guys. Okay, Nads has killed 3 different split style cameras on his micros. You and me both. All died after around 10 packs. That's really premature. Getting sick of buying them at their cost for such a small lifespan. Starting to go back to 5-inch and GoPro for my HD. All right, Nads, here's the deal. I'm going to venture a guess and say that you've been running those directly off the VBAT, which apparently you're not supposed to do, which was news to me. I blew 3 of them up as well before this little piece of paper came with one of my turtles. And what this paper says is don't run your Caddx turtle on 4S. Because it'll overheat and it'll blow up. You can only run it on 2S or 3S according to this little piece of paper. And so I got this like a year ago, so I stopped running the turtles on VBAT and they stopped blowing up. Very recently with the RunCam Hybrid, RunCam said somewhere on the internet, don't run any of our cameras on 4S or they'll blow up. So I have a feeling that's what you've been doing, because when I was blowing the split style HD cams up, it was when I was running them on 4S. As soon as I got this note and stopped running them all on 4S and I started running them off of a 5-volt regulator, they've been fine. So get you some of these tiny little iFlight 5 or 12 volt. No, that's not a regulator. Well, I don't have any, but it looks just like this. They're all in rigs, I think. There might be one right here. There's not. There might be one right over here. There's not. Well, they look a lot like this. They're very small. You can put it in line. So the other thing that I did prior to that is I tried to run the turtles off of the 5-volt on the flight controller, and they were pulling so hard on that 5-volt regulator that they were browning things out. So that's when I started to get the external regs. In general, the by the amount of heat that those HD boards are making, we know that they're pulling a lot of juice. And I don't necessarily want my flight controller to have all of that kind of hooked up to it. So I've been running the little iFlight external regulators off of VBAT just so that it's a separate kind of video system. And if that fails, I can kind of do my trick that I showed you guys earlier, flip the oh shit switch, get it to level, and the flight controller at least won't shut off. Whereas, you know, if I've got the HD boards hooked up to the flight controller and it overloads that reg and kills the flight controller for whatever reason, that fucker's going down. So there you go. That might solve your problems. I hope it does. What else do we have here? You guys want to see some AcroBrat footage? Any interest in that? Quadcopter Review says, meant the other big reviewers getting the bind and flying gear sent early to them. Okay, I got you. Makes everything I do old news, but still have fun. Yeah, I'm as much as I should start doing more reviews, and I probably will. I might actually review old stuff because I think there's a lot of old stuff that's really good. And when you look up a review on something from like a Tramp VTX, right? So I absolutely love the Tramp VTXs, but they're old news. If you look up a review of a Tramp VTX, you're probably not going to find one from the past like 2 years. And you know, you might, a lot has changed, right? There's smart audio. How does it work with smart audio? What are some advantages of it nowadays? So I don't know. I'm just trying to switch it up. I kind of the same thing that you're saying. I don't want to try to compete with all the other guys that are getting stuff early. I'm just thinking outside the box a little bit. How I can do reviews that actually hold some value, that aren't just the same thing that everybody else is doing. I think that just by the fact that I'm reviewing micro gear, typically I'm in a niche within a niche, or niche, however you prefer to pronounce it. But yeah, I don't know. I the review videos are the videos that get a lot of views, which is a good thing. I would love to have a little bit more. I just want more people to find out about micros, goddammit. We've got micros flying so good on a couple builds over here that I want more people to see it. I've been trying to do that for a long, long time, and I'm starting to get some momentum, and I just want to keep it going. So, yeah. Ask for review videos, guys. That'll force me to do them. Murdoch says he's got the Jet 399 practice rig. Don't think you're going to be able to break that anytime soon. Yeah, Doc, you and Shane also has that. What a beefy bastard. Holy crap. Trying to find a good 5-inch frame for the Tarsier. The Flywoo Mr. Croc is great, but not that durable. If you're looking for a strong 5-inch frame for the Tarsier, just look at racing frames. Just look for a stronger racing frame. Maybe like the Floss 3 or something like that. And yeah, that'd be a slick setup. Damn, you could probably build something that's sub 500 grams, and the Tarsier gets really good video. So that would be interesting. All right, let's look at a little bit of footage, and then I'm gonna shut this mother down. It's 11:38. I can't believe it's not like 1 a.m. and I'm finally looking at the time. We are setting records here tonight. Doing everything right for a change. If anybody wasn't on Bardwell's stream, I sent him a couple pictures of the Miata panels. Might as well show you guys as well. But the Miata is well on its way to being a fully functioning automobile again, which is interesting. A Miata friend of mine who runs a shop parting them out, found me a black Miata in Ohio that was in a rear end collision. So all of the front end parts are completely fine. So he had that brought down, and so this is this is basically the whole front clip of the car. This is the headlight support, the fog light support, radiator support, basically everything from the side of the hood forward is what he chopped off for me. And then, so that's that guy. And then this is a black painted front bumper. It's in kind of rough shape, but I'll see, whatever. I've kind of given up on this car looking good as long as it works and gets me where I need to go and hauls ass at the racetrack. I'm fine with it. That is 2 shiny new front fenders. Black front fenders for Miatas are rare as shit. I am very lucky to have both of these. I actually don't need both of them. I only need one, but I'm keeping the second one as a spare because they are that hard to find. And then that's just like a bunch of random shit. Mirror, a bunch of the brackets that I need. So yeah, I've got all the parts that I need. I just need to get the car running again. When the collision broke the cam angle sensor, so I have to replace that, and it blew up the cold air intake. So I need a new box and some new fittings for that. What I want to try to do is yank the existing radiator support up high enough where I can just zip tie the new radiator in there and put coolant in the system, and then I can drive it to the shop with all the parts in the back of Kristen's car. And it's got to go to a body shop for all this. It's got to be cut and welded, and there's going to be some painting that has to happen. So yeah, I just need to get it to the shop with all these parts. I don't have a replacement hood for it. I'm actually going to have them leave the hood off, and then I'm going to drive the fucking thing to my buddy's shop, which is 3 hours away, because he's got the hood there, and then we're just going to pop the hood on at his shop, because the hood is too big to fit in anything. It's too big to fit in Kristen's car. It was too big to fit in the rental car I had last week. So yeah, that's that. So pretty soon I will have a car again. Hooray! All right, let's get some AcroBrat footage looked at here. What do you guys say? So this will have the crash that blew it up. No, it won't. It'll have my stupid face. I'm gonna go. Here we go. So here's the crash that full-blown ate it. Oh God, no. We can't have that. No. No audio. Okay, there we go. Or this could be where it fell off the roof. No, it wasn't. This is the crash that killed it. So let's see how bad this was. I'm actually curious. I haven't looked at this yet. This might be the blind crash. I think this is the crash that's blind. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was it. I hit it on the back motor. What even is that? What is that sign thing? What are you? Oh, I see. Yeah, so that's the crash that killed it. That wasn't too big of a hit. If I'm real honest, that was not... man, that sucks. Yeah, that's not a bad hit. I mean, like, I was moving, but I was moving laterally, and, like, yeah. I don't know, guys. Sad. Sad situation we've got with these 1507s having 2mm motor shafts. Perfect for Cinewhoops, because they're not going to get slammed. Just, I don't think it's the right motor for a basher, a fully acro frame. What else do we have on here? So this is the spot where it broke. This is Fiserv. I'm most interested in whether or not there's jello. So let's go full screen. Man, I was just on fire. Just hitting all the things. Jesus. Come on now. Let's see if we can get more than 3 seconds of flying without bashing into something here. Oh God, oh God, kill the audio. There we go. And, okay, maybe I just, I don't know. Come on. Come on. Hey, there we go, there we go. Okay, and this is an actual, like, battery, I think. So, let's see what the jello situation is. Throw some music on, why not? Oops. Come on. Oh God. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's loud. Bring it down a little bit. Let's put fight footage on and then I'll fuck around with the music instead of watching it. Great. Alright. Is it jello-y? Ooh, it is a little jello-y. I just saw some, but that was at full stinky McGillicuddy throttle, I believe. Alright, not bad. Definitely not bad. That was real lucky for the record. That was not planned. So the jello's not bad. I bet you it's just at full throttle, because that's when I saw it a second ago. Yeah, and that was full throttle there, and that's, yeah, so that's when it's getting jello. And as you guys can see, like, I did crash the motors. Like, I didn't baby the motors. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any crashes that were all that bad. And yeah, now it's really getting jello. But this probably has bent props now. From that crash, it probably has bent props. Yeah, it does. So now the jello is well deserved. Here's a cool spot. I'm sad we got kicked out. Oh, I did scrape the building there. That sucked. And then I think I had to take the walk. Yeah, I had to take the walk. So there you go. No jello, but well, I could just tow it behind the car. Good call, Cage. Why didn't I think of that? I've helped friends do that before. Strange. What else do we have? Yeah, just more shredding from this spot that we probably will never get to fly again. Now that they know to look out for us. Here's the other... Oh. This is the other parking garage spot we flew. This is when the... Yeah, we actually don't get kicked out that often, but it happens. It happens for sure. I don't do crossfire on the micros. I just do RXSRs on the micros because I kind of want to force myself to fly local. I don't want to be able to fly really far away with the micros because they're already so damn quiet. I'm afraid of losing them. If I had to recommend a place to mount the Immortal T, I don't know what I would recommend actually. Maybe on the back. No, you can't run zip ties around the back standoff because of the clean dirty setup. Hell, I don't know. I would look up AcroBrat on rotor builds, and I'm sure somebody has a good mounting solution. I'm actually interested now. So, like, if we search for AcroBrat Crossfire, I wonder if it'll... Oh, yeah, it found a bunch of stuff. So there's one. Looks like he's got the specific TPU for it. I don't like the big-ass TPU back piece because it's just unnecessarily heavy. So I can't really recommend that setup there. It looks like a bunch of these guys are making Immortal L's. That's actually what I would do. If I were to do crossfire on an AcroBrat, I would use the this antenna. That I don't even know if you get this guy anymore. But I would do this, and I would look up Steele's video on... Actually, you don't need to look up Steele's video. It's really easy to run the zip ties because... All right, so but you don't want to do what this guy did here. All right, let me hook you guys up with a little... oh, I set up... How the hell do I zoom? Is it command? No. Is it control? No, it's not. There's a way to zoom. Ah, screw it. I think you guys can see it. Don't put zip ties on the back standoff because the clean dirty system wants that standoff to be able to move down and get closer to the bottom plate. I don't know why I'm doing this like this. I can just show you guys here. So if you're gonna do an Immortal L, do it on this top standoff here. Don't do it on this back standoff. The back standoff is specific at a specific distance to the bottom plate so that it won't bottom out and you won't get metal to metal hitting when the clean dirty setup is moving around. So do the Immortal L and just hit a bunch of zip ties on this standoff here, and just get a nice 90-degree L for that crossfire antenna. And yeah, that's what I would do for an Acro Brat. If you had to do an Immortal T, there's got to be somebody with a good setup, a good clean way of mounting it that's not 20 grams of TPU. Maybe not. I don't see one. It looks like everybody has it mounted in the TPU. Look up Tommy's build, maybe. Maybe Tommy's build. Yeah, see, he's got it in that huge TPU piece. You know what you could do? You could put it down here. You could put it on one of the arms. That would actually work really good. I have an Immortal T floating around here too somewhere. Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to put it down here on one of the arms, like that. Because what's cool about this A-arm frame design is, if you put it here, this back one is never going to get hung up in the props. This one, because of this extra little piece here. And then this one is probably not going to get hung up in the props because they're too damn small. So that's actually, I think, where I would put it, is right out on the arm here with 2 zip ties, making a little X. I believe, yeah, I mean, the only other spot I would think of, I have a piece of foam here, but maybe where this foam piece is, flat on the bottom plate like that, you could mount it like that. Yeah, that actually wouldn't be bad either. That's not a bad spot. That would also never really get up into the props. So one of those 2 spots, although if you put it down here, I don't know how you're going to zip tie it. Oh, sure I do. There's a whole bunch of slots down here that you can run zip ties around. So yeah, maybe there, maybe out here. Those 2 spots should be totally fine. But like I said, I would actually do the Immortal L, because the Immortal L, you don't get as much range, but it has less dead zones. The nulls, so the nulls basically point the direction of the antennas. So on an Immortal T, the nulls are going like this in opposite directions and like this. So you do have a little bit of a null with an Immortal T in these directions. It's not big, it's not a big null, but it is there. Whereas when you make an Immortal L, the nulls are going in opposite directions to the strongest points of the antennas. So each antenna's strength is the same as the other part of the other null. So you basically just get the most even pattern, the most even radiation pattern with an Immortal L, which for, again, in my opinion, a micro, which you should be flying short range-ish anyway, that's going to be your best bet, because any orientation, it's going to have one of the strongest radiation patterns of one of the antennas pointing in that direction. There you go. All right, we got a couple more minutes here. I'm going to hit the chat, and then if you guys have any suggestions or anything you want to see, now's your chance. Tag my name, but we're going to shut this mother down. I'm exhausted, for the record. Last week, I've gotten used to working remote, and then last week I was working in the office, which meant 2 hours worth of commuting total. So my 9-hour workday immediately turns into an 11-hour workday, and I'm just exhausted. Last week just beat the living hell out of me. I tried to recharge this weekend, but I don't know, it didn't work. I felt horrible today. So yeah, I'm gonna shut this down at the proper time tonight so I can get some goddamn sleep. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do. I know I say this every week, but I'm gonna try to do a surprise stream. I guess if I didn't say it every week, it wouldn't be a surprise. So that'll be my excuse. All right, let's hammer through some of these comments, and then I will get the hell out of here. Like I said, let me know what you want to see. We can maybe squeeze something in right at the end here. Let's go. Quadcopter review confirming VBAT makes the HD cams go boom boom in the room room. Okay, Nads. Oh, we got there. Okay, so we were right around here. Okay, Quadcopter review had a Tarsier on a BQE 5AF. That's a pretty interesting combo. Supercell's got a floss 3 that weighs 270 with no battery. So 270 with no battery, and then, oops, that's not the right thing. 270 no battery plus 160, 430 with a fucking battery. God damn. Although if you then want to run a no GoPro, because we're talking about Tarsier. Yeah, so man, that's light. I've never flown a 5-inch rig that's been much less than, I think like 580 is the lightest 5-inch rig I've ever flown. I gotta fly one of those racing rigs. That's probably a goddamn, I'm sure it's a blast. Sterling bought the Bandolero. Oh, that's a cool frame. Because someone said it would fit. They were wrong. Oh, that sucks. Sorry, Sterling. I'm sure somebody will buy that Bandolero on Facebook Marketplace for damn near what you paid for it. Because that is a great frame. Okay. Talked about the Immortal T on the Brat. Quadcopter review. Can't get a minute in his area without security dudes showing up. Schools, businesses, everything has guards here. That sucks. We're at Quadcopter review. I don't really have any suggestions. A lot of people have said just try talking to them ahead of time instead of afterwards. I don't know. I don't get kicked out too often. Although I do try to just fly like 4 or 5 batteries back to back as quick as I can, and then get the hell out of there. Hopefully before anybody comes to throw me out. But yeah, it sucks sometimes, man. It really does. All right. Out the back. Super. What do you mean out the back is asking to be chopped? So one of the cool things about having the zip ties like this is they don't really. So this is like the world's thinnest zip tie here. This one is a lot less thin. They don't want to bend sideways because they're like this shape. The zip ties. So if you use not the thinnest, stupidest zip tie in the world, I've actually never had these guys go into the props. They just don't want to bend sideways. They want to bend frontwards and backwards. So even when you try to bend them sideways, they tend to just like go forward. Like if I put this flat, if I put this like flat down, even from the side, that antenna ends up going backwards, right? Because of the zip tie being very wide and not very tall in this dimension. So there you go. If that's what you were talking about, Super. Taco RC Crossfire sticker antenna. That's a cool idea. Or there's also the little PCB one. You can probably like stick that to the bottom. Most people use those on Whoops though. Oh yeah, right. Thingiverse has a ton of stuff for the AcroBrat. That's probably what you want to do, Super. Find so like BMC 3D, for example, they will print anything you ask them to. So if you find something good on Thingiverse, you can send it to BMC 3D and say, hey man, can you print this out? He'll give you a price and hook you up. So there you go. Cage Drummer is building a Gecko 3-inch and is wondering if I have recommendations for a Primo stack. He's running Brother Hobby T1 Tornadoes on 4S. So first and foremost, Cage, for sure you got to get that thing on RPM filtering. Those motors are extremely notchy and extremely vibey. So first things first, you've got to get that rig on onto the RPM filters if you have any hope of it being able to handle them. In terms of Primo stack, my preferred combination is this Speedix GS25. You can find an affiliate link to it down below. And in terms of flight controller, it's going to be this Talon F7. Again, affiliate links will get me a couple bucks if you click them and then buy anything on Amazon. You can also get either one of these from most shops. And yeah, that's the best ESC and flight controller I have found in 2.5 years of building micros. So there you go. They're not the most expensive, but there are times where you don't get what you pay for. And this is one of those times because those two things have just been phenomenal. I've tried much more expensive flight controllers like the Radix Lee, and the Talon outperforms them. So there you go. It is 12:00. We're going to spend 60 more seconds looking through these comments, and then we're going to split. EK Ripper says, Pyro Drone has some nice mounts for the Immortal T. Very cool. They go over the standoffs and are just two small pieces, very light and very clean. Awesome. Thanks, EK. Sterling made an Immortal L for the first time the other day. It's easy and works really well. Absolutely. Super is not going for long range because he wants to swap back and forth. Okay. Got to get a dump for the Brat. Yep, I'll hook you up with that for sure. And, 1000 mAh R-line. That's going to be a fat bastard, but it's going to fly for a while. Very cool. Central Florida retirement. Got it. Okay. 400 grams of the battery. That's going to be heavy. It's going to be fine with that, though. It'll work. Immortal T, TPU out the back. Haven't seen any 3D prints for the... Oh, right. Yeah, right. Super's got one of the duos. So, yeah, that's going to make TPU interesting. But what EK Ripper said about the simple ones that go over the rear standoffs, that should work for you because the duo still has those left to right standoffs. So, there you go. Griffin, what motors are they? I'm assuming you're asking about these. These are RCX 1306s, 4000 kV. These and the Emax 1306 4000s are my preferred motors for builds that are less than 200 grams all up on a 3-inch prop. This particular rig is about 190. I've got another one that's about 180. They really come alive at 180 grams all up. But anywhere from like 170 to 200, even up to like 210 grams all up, these 1306s are awesome. Really, really good motors. Would recommend. Griffin FPV missed the Sunday stream. He didn't miss much. I was only on for an hour, and then I went out and flew with Steel in downtown Atlanta, which is the video I was playing earlier. Maybe I'll play you guys out with that video in case you didn't see it, Griffin. Cage, yes, F7 is important. F7 just basically gives you more headroom with RPM filtering, and as they advance RPM filtering, you're just going to be thankful for having an F7 down the road. And you're certainly welcome, man. I think that's all we got. Griffin got the Brat working finally. Now he's got to change the direction and be a Hollow 32. Very cool. Glad you got it up and going. Quadcopter Review agrees with me on the 1306s. They are just perfect. I actually wish that we could get a 1305, maybe a 1405, but as we've talked about, I don't really have any pull. On the Brat, what motors? Zing. Yeah, I have the Zing 1507s. That's the other thing that you did miss on yesterday's stream, which we kind of talked about here today, which is that as a freestyle rig that's going to get crashed on concrete, I will not be running the T-Motor 1507 or the Zing 1507 because they both have 2mm motor shafts, and I have been bending those motor shafts like crazy. It's the first piece of feedback that I sent to T-Motor when they sent me these prototypes 4 or 5 months ago. I took these out of the boxes, I looked at the motor shaft, and I sighed because I just knew it. And I messaged Vivian right then and there, and I said, if there's any way, I said, I have a feeling that you're not going to be able to change this because of the molds, but if there's any way to change it, I guarantee you want to go with a bigger motor shaft because these are going to break. That's when she told me that these are more geared towards Cinebrat, Cinewhoops, at which point any possibility of them doing what I was asking went out the window, and I kind of knew that it was a moot point. So I didn't really press the issue. But, yeah. So we need 2.5mm motor shafts for basher, heavier 3-inch rigs, or possibly 3mm. But I think the problem with the 3mm motor shafts is going to be that it makes we're limited on the outside diameter of the bearing. Yeah, just go back and watch it. It's only an hour. All right, guys. Budget FPV says he gets spectators in Oregon. Well, I'll see for myself. Hopefully, at some point in a few years, because I'm trying to get to Oregon in life. Maybe. Yeah, we're going to visit in April. But I might. Yeah, you know, Budget FPV. We're going to Portland in April. We should hang. We should fly. We're gonna be super busy, but maybe. Never know. Look me up. Message me. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. There's music on for some reason. I guess it's just been rolling the whole time. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out. Patreon link is down below. Affiliate links down below. What else? CIDFPV on Instagram, Facebook, here on wherever we are, YouTube. Sub to the channel. Do the bell thing if you want. Thumbs up, whatever. Comments, all the good stuff. Let's we got this community going. Let's keep it going. Let's all keep talking to each other. Let's all keep experimenting with different shit. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will see you during the week. Ooh, I'll play you out with this video. I'll see you during the week. Hopefully I can bring myself to do a random surprise stream. Other than that, thanks, Griffin. I appreciate that. Other than that, I will catch you guys next Sunday, which... Wait, hey, what's... Are we going to not be... Whatever. I'll talk to you guys on places. We'll be here Sunday. Cool. Love you guys. Peace. Go fly some shit. Fly on your lunch breaks. Good night. Ooh.